Down there where the
Instead of going to that room where we were all in yesterday, go left, go down.
Smoke break. So how did everything go? Enjoy it?
you just brought the camera today instead of the phone.
I got that too. Oh, I got that too. Always. Introduce yourself.
Whitney Gonzalez, Michelle Gaither,
Holly Crawley,
Pat Crawley.
Miranda Coulter.
Pedro Gonzalez.
Bill Gaither.
All right, Dwayne Ramsey.
This is the Gaither team.
I'm related to the Coulters.
Which FYI, guys,
Where you from?
we hold
Maiden. I'm from
50%
Maiden.
of the room,
See?
by the way.
Right down below the Highway Patrol Station.
I do too.
See?
Jason
I know
Brooks.
where you live. I know exactly where you live.
Jim, good night. Introduce yourself.
James Dellinger, Hickory, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Jason Brooks, Hickory, North Carolina.
Okay.
Chris Reynolds, Hanover, North Carolina.
All right. Nice meeting you.
How you doing today, Joel?
All right. Y'all enjoying yourself?
Excellent.
All right. I'm go back here and get some of this training.
Get a lot of stuff. And Mitch comes all the time.
Don't take a picture of that.
Gotcha.
And I had another
Picking up your cell phone, just go ahead and send it back
Yo, Don. Enjoying yourself?
Oh yeah.
All right. Learn anything?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Always learn something mystical.
You got that right. Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Philip Mosteller, how are you?
All right.
James Tuttle.
James Hutter.
When I was
Hey, how you doing? What's your name?
Claire.
All right. How you doing? How y'all doing today?
Hey.
Enjoying yourself?
Yeah, having a great time. How about you?
Oh yeah.
How
Oh
my
yeah.
dad do? I'm ready to go.
What's your name?
It's Jenny Bolton. Jenny Bolton.
Okay. You?
Karen Fish.
All right. I'm Dwayne Ramsey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
This is Linda Wester from
Linda Wester from
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Go Vols. If this is for the fiance, go Vols.
That's right.
Randy Gilmore from Asheville, North Carolina.
Asheville in the house. I got aunt working at Mission Hospital. What's your name?
Rick Carpenter from Asheville.
Okay, that's all right. Let me see. Who didn't I get? Okay, I didn't get you.
Oh no. No.
What's your name?
Michelle Raymond.
Is what?
Michelle Raymond.
Michelle, where you from?
New York.
New York? All right. What part?
All over.
You drove all the way down to New York?
No, because I'm living here in Charlotte now.
Okay. All right.
Oh I got all these snacks.
No, he comes to Charlotte.
Oh, he came from Charlotte. That's
And I work here.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna come that morning.
Yeah, it's like
No,
that.
just wait till you get
4
off
by
work.
4 with
Come
a,
back from work. I'll be here as long as it takes.
It's like a 4x4 pickup.
As soon as I come in, I told the lady who I was. He come right out.
I think we done some shuffling the chairs a little bit. Got millionaires sitting in the front. All right, everybody, we're now ready for what I've been waiting on for literally 3.5 months. I first saw this almost 4 years ago. And I'm going to start implementing it this year. You know, kind of go just like this new business. But the millionaire mindset training is going to give you a whole new perspective on how to look at your life, business, the way you've been brought up, whatever kind of socioeconomic background you're from, give you a way to think differently. And who we're going to be able to invite up first is beautifully young lady, as y'all already know. My good friend, Mrs. Theresa.
Rearrange here for just a second. useful information that you get, the notes that you take. That 10% is applying that knowledge. But look at what 85% is. Strictly what we think about what we're doing, our attitude. And this is so significant because when you go to trainings, I know you've been to trainings in prepaid legal, most of you have been. How many of y'all been to more than 5 trainings in your life? Okay. And would you agree that you hear at many of those trainings a lot of things about attitude, philosophy? When I took my journals, you know, Frank writes on those cards, and I took my journals recently, and I must have had, gosh, I've had leather journals, all these journals, just a stack of them. And I had my son make copies of every page of every journal. And I went through all those journals and cut them apart, the pages apart, categorized everything. By far, I had sections on PDR, sections on three-way calls, sections on getting started, sections on every part of the business. But by far, the largest section was on philosophy, on how we think about what we do. So I want to talk to you for just a few minutes. How many of y'all know who Steve Fleming is? Okay. For those of you who don't know, he asked Kate Grossi, or Kate Gill at that time, to send us that video. We're on his chicken list. So he is now our sponsor, and someone who we really look up to in the business. He's platinum, he's got a huge organization, and he's kind of quiet. He's not, but he's the guy on stage that always wears sandals. Never has, never. In fact, if you see the cameras when he's on stage, they always pan in on his shoes because he could be in a suit and a tie, not usually a tie for him, but he's always got sandals on. But I want you to know that in 1993 he was $80,000 in debt, and he didn't have a home. He was literally living in his car and on the floor of an office. Now, can you imagine? I mean, and he had kids and everything. It's really a sad story. But he happened to have hooked up with a guy by the name of Jim Rohn. And he started working for Jim Rohn. He actually slept in the office on the floor to be able to work with Jim Rohn. And because he got to be around, for those of you who don't know who Jim Rohn is, please get to know who Jim Rohn is. There's some tapes by him you can get through Video Plus, books, tapes. He is the foremost business philosopher in the world to me. He is he's still, I think, our top mentor in this realm of life. But Steve Fleming got to be mentored by Jim Rohn. He got to be a telemarketer and work for him in the office and do all these things. And because he surrounded himself like almost 100% with Jim Rohn and his philosophy and his thinking, he completely changed the way he thought about things, the way he approached things. Today, I mean, a long story made short, he went from living on the floor to being a millionaire with prepaid legal. It's a powerful story, but it just gives you an example of, and Steve was smart. He had knowledge about a lot of different things. He could have, applied that knowledge, and he did in many different ways. The problem was that in that point in his life, in that year when he was $80,000 in debt, he was upside down, not just in debt, but in his thinking. And when he straightened that out, and he worked on that, then it was easy for him to become successful. When you define success, I've seen a lot of definitions, but I love this. Success is willingness to go through pain, but failure is the same thing. It's just a different choice of pain. There are some people that are at home today. They might be working in their garden. They might be watching cartoons with their kids. They might be doing anything today. It's a beautiful Saturday. Do you agree? Yes. It was not the easiest choice for you to be here today, or those of you who came last night. I know that. You need to know the leaders recognize that. And so when you're paying the price, you're going to pay the price one way or the other. And it's like it's just like health and diet. We can eat and be married today and not worry about what we eat and drink and all of that. And enjoy it today, but what's going to happen tomorrow down the road is going to show up. It's the same thing here. So if we're willing, the more pain you're willing to go through right now, the more you're willing to sacrifice, the more you're willing to give up. Last night somebody asked me a question, Sean did, I think, was asking me, how do I balance everything as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a grandmother, and all that? And I said, I don't. Because I am sacrificing today, even still, even though if we stop, we still make great great income. Frank and I are too, maybe we're greedy, maybe we're competitive. We're not finished yet. And so we are constantly looking to grow our organization, to expand it so that we have, 10 times as much going on as we do today. Our job today, we feel, is developing leaders. I am not balanced in my life, according to some people who would be, the philosophers of balance in life, and that is okay. When you choose to make sacrifice to make this work, you're doing it for tomorrow. You're doing it so that you can babysit for your grandchildren when you want to. You're going to pay the price one way or the other. I was talking to a woman that comes to our briefings. I don't know her real well. She's not a part of our personal organization. She's part of our family in the Charleston area. And she said, we were going to dinner after the meeting one night. She said, Theresa, I just want to sit with you for a couple minutes. I said, sure. And so I sat with her, and she said, I just don't know what it is. I don't know why I can't get this thing going. I'm not achieving what I want to achieve. It's just like it's right there, but it's just, I'm just not getting it. There's something missing. And I talked to her for about a whole 3 minutes, and I discovered she did not have a why. She could not tell me why she wanted to do this. Now, some of you are clear on that already, and I've talked to some of you. But you know what? She was not, and many people are not clear on why. They don't know why they're doing it. They don't have a reason. And so when they have the ups and downs, because you're going to have a lot of ups and downs, and if you've never been in business before, it'll shock you. Those people that have been in business before, you know about the ups and downs. But if you've never been in business before, you can get shocked when your best friend says no. Or when your family says no. Or when you think you just sat in and had a guest sit in on the best presentation you ever heard and they said no. If you've got to have, there's going to be ups and downs, I guarantee you. And they never go, you will continue to have them. The bigger the rank, the bigger the challenges. It's just the way it is. But here's a note to make. The bigger the problem you can solve, the bigger your paycheck will be. Now, I promise you, because they go hand in hand. If you get all upset about the home office losing a piece of paperwork and it ruins your day, you might want to sit back and think a minute, because that is a tiny straw along the way of success in this business. So the bigger the problem you can handle and the more solutions you can come up with, the bigger your paycheck will be. And you are definitely going to have a lot of these ups and downs. See that the whole time you're in the business, any business. And your attitude has to be consistent, just the same as you have to have strong reasons to carry you through that. You've got to have, your attitude has got to be there to go along with it. You can't let those little things get you down. You can't let anything get you down. How many of y'all have had major challenges in this business? Okay. Anybody that's been in the business more than 2 years, I think your hand was up. Okay. Loan emergencies is one I like to pick up. You know how many of y'all know loan? Do you know, and some of you mentioned to me you've had spouses that are not quite, on the same page as you with the business. And if you don't know Lana's story, you should have Lana tell you their story personally, but I will recap it for you quickly. She was the most negative spouse in the nation. When he decided to do this, she pitched a fit. Wouldn't have anything to do with it. She was totally closed-minded. But because he was politely consistent with her, he was firm in what he was doing. He was passionate about what he was doing without offending her. He was still always respectful of her. She finally relented to even come to a meeting. And slowly the folded arms became unfolded. And very slowly she got, it's kind of like, anybody that's passionate one way, they can get just as passionate the other way. And you know her today, she's the RVP of the upstate. But listen to their story. Get them to tell you that. That will keep a lot of people in the business when they understand that it is worth continuing that attitude, keeping that solid, passionate reason for doing the business. It's just important. And here's another thing I want to share with you that is so huge. In the beginning of your business, this is right now, and this is the next 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, 5 to 10 years. The way this works, unlike traditional business, you're going to spend a lot of time in your learning curve, it's just going to take a lot more time than it seems you're getting paid for at first. But when you're willing to continue that commitment, you can be over here on the other end of the spectrum years from now. I promise money that hits our bank account is more that week than the week before. That's what you want to work for. Do you agree? And it's worth it. But you know what? If you don't show people this, they might get discouraged. Because the only people who are going to fail here are the 50% of this room who are going to give up between now and next year. The other 50% are going to stick in here, and they will be successful. It comes at different points, but you will be successful. We have seen, and you know, it's especially if you're recruiting. I mean, we've seen a couple in our business who recruited for years, and then, you know, just never had a lot of success, medium success, and then all of a sudden they recruited someone through another person in their organization who happened to just buy a membership, and they said, can you sell this and make money? And that couple's the Crutchers today. And they have, you know, they've been executive director in less than a year, developing strong leadership. They have taken over Ohio. But you know, you can't predict when that's going to happen. What if that couple had quit the day before? A lot of people do. I'll guarantee you, a lot of people do. Do y'all know who Derek Kidd is?
Yeah.
Executive director. He's been on stage actually as one of the hosts. Really funny guy. Do y'all know who he is? Those of you who he took 8 months to get to manager. And you want to write this story down and tell people. When people get discouraged, they think, well, gosh, you know, it took a year to get to manager. It doesn't matter as long as you're moving in the right direction. But he will tell you he worked on himself and had to more than his business. That's Derek Kidd, one of my favorite in the business. Larry Smith, well, almost everyone knows Larry Smith. He's on stage at almost every convention. He was our first fast start trainer. We were trained by him in Vegas or Dallas, wherever we were that first convention. He did not fast start qualify. It's important to know that story, because when you tell somebody on your team that gets upset because they didn't fast start qualify, you've got to let them know it's okay. That people that are at the top of the ladder in the prepaid fee goal are some of the same people that didn't fast start qualify. It's not going to determine their success. Do you agree? Okay, those stories are really important. Cleve Pickens, some of y'all know him, is already in Florida. He actually started this business, quit it, shouldn't have quit it, but he went bankrupt, came back into the business, and today he's platinum and RVP. So I'm just telling you, there's so many examples. It's just the only thing that matters here is that you are committed to staying here, working on yourself, and moving forward with the business, because it will happen for you. Who's successful in this business? I think this is very, very, very significant. The tacticians, they know everything, they can answer all the questions. 20% of those are successful, or 20% of your success is dependent on that part of your knowledge and ability. But 80% of your success is going to be based on your ability to build culture, relationships. When we started the business, Frank hated to go to that dinner after the event. He just, you know, he wasn't into like little talk, okay? But we realized that that is the most important part of the event. That if you leave that out, if you race home to watch a show or, you know, to do whatever you want to do to get an extra, 45 minutes sleep, you are missing out on the most important part of the whole shebang. Because it's building those relationships and building team that is going to develop the leadership and move you forward in the business. Leaving it out, we've got people in our organization today, they've actually hit executive director, but they're ignoring this part of the business. And I'm going to tell you what they're doing. They're executive director 1 month, not the next. 1 month, 2 months not. 1 month yes, 2, I mean, it just goes on and on. It's not consistent. Because the foundation is the relationships. And that is what is really, for many of you who are the social people, it's a blessing because it's like, that's what you love to do. For the rest of the room, it's something you're going to have to learn how to develop and learn to enjoy. Because it is a very vital part of this business. Do you agree? Those of you who have been involved? Okay. All right, the last thing I want to talk to you about, we'll get off of the philosophy for a second and talk about the system. And this is what everybody likes. What's the system? We've got people in Charleston who've been around us for 5, 6 years, and they say, we keep talking about the system. What is the system? So, it's like, it's not like we don't talk about it all the time, but here it is in black and white. You want to see it in black and white? Okay, first of all, the most important part of this exposure process. The exposure process is, that is the most important thing, in my opinion, the most important part of the system. And it is using tools and duct tape. Frank's already gone over this in his presentation. He wove it into the presentation this morning. The importance of using tools, and not using your mouth. who's maybe at home like our daughter, and a doctor and a lawyer can also do and be comfortable with. When you get that exposure system down, everybody is successful and everybody can duplicate that. You want to know what our exposure system is? Put people on a recording. That's my favorite first one because it sorts out people before I waste the money for a tool. I call back, ask them 2 questions. Did you hear it okay? Or I'll three-way them into it to start with. Did you hear it okay? What did you like best? They're going to tell me their hot button. And I'm not going to answer one question. It's real hard because you have to do this one, you know all the answers. But I know better. I'm not going to answer their questions. I'm going to say, well, listen, I know you got some questions. I'm going to conference you into my business partner. And I do a 3-way call into one of my quote experts. I mean, we've got dozens of them. It could be one of you. And then that expert's going to validate what they heard, and they're going to invite them to an event to get more information, to get their questions answered. The expert doesn't even answer half their questions. They say, well, to get all those questions answered, it'd be best if you went to a corporate overview. And so now they've got a reason to go to the corporate overview. And that flat out works. So that exposure process of using an exposure, a 3-way call, works. It's just, and you might have to do 2 exposures or 3 exposures, but always follow it with a 3-way call to an expert. Does that make sense? Okay, it works. All right, using 3 ways and using events. That is the exposure system. Getting associates started right is another system, and that is teaching them the above, naturally, and giving them that workbook and getting them started with the 10 easiest. Well, do y'all love that performance agreement?
Yes.
I think it's the most genius thing the company ever did. $100 off for doing what they ought to be doing anyway to start the business. I love it. Getting started, the workbook, the 10 easiest, 10 best, 2 private business perceptions, and set up a game plan to get with them to get all that stuff put together. That is the getting started process. If you start somebody out without that getting started right book, you are cutting their throat off and yours too. You got to always have those getting started right books ready to hand that new person. And the third thing is, as far as systems go, are the communication and training systems. Plugging them into your trainings like this, plugging them into your conference calls, whatever you've got going, that being on your email list, being a part of the communication training process. That's it in a nutshell. That recaps the 3 important systems, in my opinion, that we use to grow this business. The only other thing that I want to mention to you is I'm going to recommend that you slow down to speed up. That when you bring somebody on, you slow down to work with them, to help them do their PBR, to help them go through their list, to help them make the exposures, to help them to get fast start qualified and to senior associate, which is one and the same. Do you have a question?
Do you mind moving that up just a second?
Sure. This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Slowing down to speed up is everything. Last night I gave 2 examples of people who have worked, who have come in the business and exploded, and Mark Wright is one. I would personally almost rather work with someone who is consistent and just doing the process rather than having to have a person that comes on board and they go talk to 20 people, bring 10 people on board the first week. You get excited. I used to get excited when that happened, but now it scares me to death. Mark Wright did that. He went to director in less than a month, and he was like the only insurance person in his whole community, so everybody knew him, everybody listened to him. So he went and did a one-on-one pitch to everybody he knew. They came on board like that. He had like 30, 40 people in his business within a month. Ask me where he is today. Gone. Because nobody could duplicate anything that Mark Wright did. Gone. And we didn't have the knowledge back then. This has been 4 or 5 years ago. We did not have the knowledge and the know-how and the foresight to slow him down to then help him speed up. So I take responsibility for that. I really wish I had known what I know today back then when I saw him doing that. I just got excited because we had a director really quick, So it's a big learning process. So please learn from our mistake there. Y'all know Frank Dieza went to platinum in 7 months. He's not here today. Nothing there was duplicatable. Probably we wouldn't want it to be duplicatable. I'm not sure what was going on with that. So I'm just saying it's worth slowing down to speed up. If you're not going as fast as you are, it's okay as long as you are committed and you're staying here. You know where you're going. You've got a reason to do it. You've got a why, and you are at these events. You're on your conference calls. You're plugging into everything. You will have success. The biggest challenge here is, and I've heard Ronnie Somerville say this, is continuing to do the day-to-day things that we need to do, the 2 exposures a day, the 10 core commitments, all of that, and not getting bored with it, and not getting restless with it. It is staying committed to it and doing it day after day. Frank, I'm going to bring Frank up because he is going to share with you some bigger mindsets that I think, as we've taught our team this and others around the nation, it has completely helped, completely changed their grasp of even what they're doing in this business, because it's going to open a whole new world up for you. So please welcome to Mr. Frank AuCoin.
She did good. She did good. She looked good too. Not just good. Okay, I'm sorry I took so long this morning. I got looking at the clock. I know we went, what, 20, 30 minutes over? You all okay with that?
We're okay.
Okay. I went out there and said, oh man, I killed it. That was the longest briefing I've ever done, but you were here for a world record. Yeah. Let me, the whole thing is worth, this business is worth it. I know, if you're kind of new going, I don't know how to learn all that. I hope you know those the worth of this. For people like yourself and myself who get to a certain point in life and say, oh, yeah, we would know something different. It's not life, but much different than it's ever been. I swear to y'all that we used to go to the store and if something was 2 cents more, we would choose the other thing over 2. Have y'all ever done that? Can of beans or something like that. You know what I'm talking about, right? I remember the first time I finally really realized we had any money at all. I think we were even pretty well wealthy, and I didn't realize it. I went to the mall and I saw a big screen TV, and you know I was happy. This thing was huge, it's 52 inches. It would do split screen. I could watch 7 channels at a time. They would do instant replay and all that crap. And it's just incredible. We had speakers. Huge Sony TVs that were like 7 pounds. And so I went in there. I was painting something. I went in there and I was all paint all over. My shoes were all painted. And I was kind of had all this stuff. And the salesman would wait on me. And I said, "Can you show me this?" And he said, "No." Well, then wait a minute. I'll do it. And so I started filling around. He said, "Listen, let me try to do that." So he started showing me that. I said, "Well, show me the rest of it." He said, "You gonna get this?" I said, "Well, I'd like to have it." He said, "Well, everybody like to have it." He said, "Just not many people can afford it." He was starting to, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I finally induced him into, told him, I wanted to see. I said, "I'd like to see what all it does." So he finally got there. I was pretty excited, but I was really tickled for it. And so I went home and I told Theresa, I said, I saw television, man, it was unbelievable. And I told her I would need to get it. She said, "Well, go buy it." I went, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, go buy it." She said, "Frank, there's nothing in that mall you can go there about. You buy the mall." And I went, I think I'll do this, but I wouldn't do it right away. So I had Theresa type up a little thing for me and said, "This is what I'm willing to pay for the TV. If you'll accept it, I think I said I'll tell you how to let you know." And so I asked Theresa to go with me the next day down to the same place. So I walked in, that guy was there. And, so I walked in and I asked for him. And I said, "I'm going to show my wife the TV." And he acted like, "Well, you're better." So when he did it, I pulled the envelope out of the pocket and I said, "Listen, you're not the manager, are you? You're not to give this to your manager." And the note said that I'll pay you $4,000 for this television, cash. I'll be back in an hour. I said, "Take this to your manager and give it to him. I'm going to be back in an hour. And I'm going to stand at that front door up there. And if you accept the offer that's in an envelope, when you see me at that door, do like this. And if you don't accept it, tear up the note inside and I'll leave."
said, but I'm going to buy a TV today, and Sears has the same TV you got down the street. So we left, and I went shopping. An hour later, I came back. And now I knew he would take the offer because it was the end of the month. They were trying to make quota, and I understand it didn't real well. So I came back, and they were both standing at the door, and then I was looking at them. Theresa and I was right with us. Somebody was just Theresa and I was just door like this. And I went, she went. And I went in and got that television. I pulled it out and I said, it was set up and delivered. And it's still in my house today. And I just got a new platinum TV too. You know, men love TVs. This is a big one. Now I got a new platinum thing. And then I got a projector TV too, you know, that shoots like a 23-foot wide picture, 18-foot tall. I mean, I can tell you and other things like, I just want you to know it's really worth it. We're not too extravagant. We never owned a new car in our life. And Mother's Day, I used to go get Theresa anything I could buy her. I go to Hickory, get a pacifier, and make Mother's Day. And we started making money. One day I went down and bought her a brand new Jaguar. And I'll just tell the men this. There's a major difference between your wife a pacifier or a Jaguar. Your experience will be much different. To be able to not worry about the money for a wedding for your daughter, or if we want to go to see our grandbaby for a week every month, just get up and go. I remember one day I called my daughter and I said, "You want to go shopping?" She said, "Where?" I said, "How about New York?" She said, "New York." I said, "Why don't we just get on a plane and go to New York for a shop?" So we went. It was probably one of the best memories I ever had. I liked my daughter. Except she hated it. She had a room and she slept in the plane with me and I snored. I thought I almost broke the marriage. To not worry about where the kid's going to go to college because the money's really there. I mean, it's really more than you would ever need for college. 1 week or 2 weeks pay takes care of a whole year's college tuition. It's just incredible. I don't know how to say it to you. For those of you who do church stuff, to be able to give to the church the way you want to, or if some family member has a problem, you know, you can help. So that time thing Theresa showed you where you're going to work your butt off a lot in the beginning and then you don't work so much in the end is really true. I think our income when we was gone last week was like over $7,000 or something like that. And we weren't even in the country. We made more money than we spent on the trip. That's kind of nice. Because Theresa's cheap and she found us cheap seats on the plane. It's kind of nice. I'm getting ready to go through a training now, and it's called the Tycoons and Titans and Billionaire Mindsets. And wealthy people think different than people who don't have money. We see things different. We hear things different. How many of you ever been to a 3D movie? Some of you? They're kind of cool. But if we're sitting in a 3D movie and he has the glasses and I don't have the glasses, is he going to see things I don't see? He will. He'll be all excited. He'll just be crazy with excitement. And I go, "What are you seeing? What are you seeing?" And when you can see the world through different eyes, you're going down the street and you can see opportunity everywhere. And I'll tell you where I learned this. I learned this from a guy named Ronnie Fox, who was a genius. He was about 28 years old. I was about 21 years old. And I did everything to go to work with this guy. He had 23 people working for him. I mean, and they would just love this guy. And I wanted to go to work for him. So I finally had a job with him. It took me 3 months to get a job with that guy. And I went every Saturday, stood in his lobby for like almost 4 months really. And he finally let me go into work here. And it was one of the best things that ever happened. And he taught me how to do dress up windows. You know what I'm talking about? A window dresser. It was a big, huge shoe store. And this guy could literally dress a window, and he said, "Watch what happens when I get down this window." He said, "Every woman will walk by here, will come down the sidewalk, and she'll look, and then she'll do like this, and she'll just do like this, and pretty soon she'll be inside the store and won't even know it. And I started watching, and he was a genius at putting shoes in the window, so it just led people into the store. And so I wanted to learn how to do that. I said, how do you do that? He said, Frank, you got to see things people don't see. I said, I don't understand. He says, come out here with me. We were in Fairfield, California, on Texas Avenue. And it was a very small town, but the streets were really busy. So we went out in the street. I'm going to show you, see if I can draw that for you. The store was over here, back here, the shoe store. This Texas Avenue was right here. And here's the white lines. And there's traffic coming crazy. So we walked out here in the middle of the street. He said, come with me. We stood right here. I was here, he was here. And he stopped the cars. And we stood in the middle of the road. The cars were zooming everywhere. I said, what are we doing? He said, shut up. He said, stand here. He said, what do you see out here? I said, what do you mean what I see? He says, what opportunity do you see here to make money? I said, opportunity to make money? All I see is cars coming in. He says, quieten your fears for a minute. Tell me what you see to make money. What are you looking at? I said, Ronnie, I swear on what you're seeing, because cars are really close. I'm saying, Ronnie, this is crazy. He said, Frank, shut up and listen. He says, people walk down the street every day looking for a job like you did. You came here for 4 months, you finally got a job. Now I'm trying to teach you how to make money. He said, tell me what you see. And I was scared to death. Here's what I learned. If you can ever quieten your fears down for a minute, you'll see the opportunity. You've got to quieten the fears of what's coming at you, or what you think is coming at you, so you see opportunity. Here's what he taught me. I said, Ronnie, tell me what you want me to know. He said, look at the telephone pole. What do you see? I said, I see a telephone pole. He says, how can you make money with a telephone pole? He said, I can teach you how to make $1 billion with a telephone pole. Tell me how to do it. I swear to y'all, I did not know how to do it. He said, Frank, never look at what you see, and never ask the question, what do I see? Ask the questions underneath, what do you see? I said, what do you see? He said, well, let's think about it. Somebody had to plant the seed. Can you think of a way to plant the seed 10% faster to grow the tree that made the pole? Can you think of a way to cut it down 5% faster? How to deliver it 5% faster? They've got a coating on it to protect the coating. Can you think about a way to put the coating on? Can you think about a way to make the pole last longer? He said, look at the white lines. Can you figure out a faster way to put white lines down here? Can you think about something that would last longer? How did they get it down? Could you do it better? Could you do it easier? He said, never look at anything at surface. Always look below the surface. So when you see something, rather than saying to yourself, I can't do that, like I thought, I can't stand here and watch these cars and think about opportunity. The minute you say, I can't do something, you throw a block at it. The minute you say, how can I do something, it opens up every opportunity in the world. So I hear people say, I don't have time, I can't do this. What they've done is put a block. If they say, I don't have time, but how can I do this? Everything opens up. Does that make sense? So if things are coming at you, you've got to block out the fear that there's something going to happen. And forget it. I mean, just absolutely forget it. And I learned right then that opportunity is everywhere. I started looking at the meters. You know, you used to have meters you put money into to park and stuff. I started looking at windows. There was a guy cleaning the window. And within about 4 or 5 minutes, maybe by the end of that day, everything I looked at differently. I looked at totally different. How to polish a car, how to paint, how to do anything. How can you do it better, faster, cheaper, easier? And my whole life changed just instantaneously right there. And so I want you to know as we're going through this little exercise that you're going to be seeing things in a way that no one of your friends see. See, Ronnie saw what I couldn't see. That's the reason Ronnie went afraid. Does that make sense? A lot of people come to your business going to be afraid. You've got to get them to see things that they don't see so they won't be afraid. Because fear stops everybody. All of you have the talent, skills, and ability to do this. There's nobody in here that doesn't. I don't care how old or how young you are. Every one of you, it's fear that's holding back. How many of you know it's fear? I mean, be honest. It's fear. Fear it won't work, fear of looking bad, fear of I can't talk to strangers, and all that kind of crap. You've got to do what Ronnie told me. He said, Frank, push fear into a corner and kick the crap out of it. You have got to get rid of that. You've got to stuff it in a corner. If you don't, it'll eat your lunch and you'll be like this all your life. You won't ever be a good man. You'll be average at everything. You've got to kill fear. So that was one of the most important lessons I've ever learned. I just want to start there, okay? Because I want you to be able to see things you can't see. I also want you to be able to take this stuff back to your people. You came here to get something. I came here to give you something. How many of you want to take some of this back? Now, how many of you were here last night? I want you to know that. A few of you. Who wasn't here last night? Okay, I'm going to do this for y'all right now because the rest of them saw it. Always make paper and pen what? Did y'all notice how they got that? They were here last night. You make paper and pen your best friend. And only 1% of the people in the nation or in the world ever write down anything. Listen to me. There was a study done. Only 1% of the people in the nation ever write down anything that they put away and save. A friend of mine just lost her father 3 days ago. He's a friend of mine. He died that afternoon, and that night she called me from his house. Actually, I called her. She called me back. This was 2 days ago, and she was crying, obviously. She's 20-something years old. She's a manager at Chick-fil-A. She's one of our associates, the dearest girl you ever met in your life. And I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "I don't think so." I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm doing something I didn't know about. I'm reading something my dad wrote down." She said, "Frank, my dad kept a journal. I didn't know he ever kept a journal. But I'm sitting on the couch and I'm reading a journal." And she says, "Let me tell you what he wrote in his journal about me last week." And she started reading. I almost cried. I almost laid out. To capture thoughts, ideas, concepts, and principles, you need to write things down. He captured the thoughts, and she remembered them. He had talked about me in this. She read one case to me where he had just come to my house the week before, and he met me, and he put that in there, and he said, something like, "I think we finally got a shot." And I'm so excited for my daughter. I think she found something she can really do something with the rest of her life. And I'm excited for her to be right on stuff. And he said, "I'm excited about it, and I look forward to working with my daughter over the next year." He was right on stuff. And that probably meant more to her than the couch, than the car he was in. You understand? It was journals. She was going to be able to read the journals. So here's what I want you to do. Draw a picture like this. Do this. And you're going to write things. And you're going to always try to draw a picture of what you write. And so this is paper, and here's a pen. You can try to draw a pen. And the only reason I'm getting you to do this is because everybody thinks in icons. If you can't see it, you can't build it. If you can't see it, you really don't understand it. Paper, pen, your best friend. Now, once you get this written down, some of you are writing in journals. Who wasn't here again last night? You're writing that thing, right? Okay. How are you going to find those notes if you need to? Okay. Okay. See, some people write journals. My wife and I have just bounds of journals, leather journals and stuff. Some cost $35 each. If I wanted to find some of those journals, I couldn't find it for all my money in the world. I mean, I've written so many journals. And finally, I realized that I couldn't find anything. So what I do is I write everything on. You can write them in that thing, but I always put them on a card. And my wife does it different. She takes a copy of the page, and let's say like you're teaching PBRs, you're going to a class with PBRs going on. Everything on PBRs, she will take and she will make a copy of the page, and she puts it in a 3-ring binder like this. And it said PBR. And so every subject, you just take the paper out, make a copy of it, you leave it in that journal, but then put it in the PBR binder. If it's about luncheon, put it in lunch binder, right? If it's about meetings, whatever it is, put it in a 3-ring binder. So when you go to teach somebody something, they want you to do a training call or a meeting like this, you just go take the 3-ring binder out on PBR. Now you got the information. Do you see what I'm saying? You want to be able to seize the information, not just have the information. Because information is no good unless you can see it. This changed everything about our business when we started doing it. Because someone would talk about meetings, how do you do a meeting, or how do you do contact and inviting, or approaching and inviting, and I'd have to go try to find that stuff because you can't remember everything. So I'm just letting you know. And when you get this done, later on, if you want to write a book, it'd be very easy to write a best-selling book. Because if you've got, like I do it on cards, This is called universal laws, are not localized. Now, I'll explain that in a minute to you. But I can take this card and write 4 pages on this one card. So if I've got 50 pages in here, if I just write 3 pages on each one of those pages, I'll have a 150-page book, and it might become a bestseller. And the reason I know that, I've written 6 books. I'm working my 7th book right now. And I didn't do it because I just wrote down and sat down and wrote a book. I did it because I captured ideas and concepts, and I could sit down and write a page on each page, or 2 pages on each sheet. Does that make sense to y'all? Really important. How many of y'all ever written a book? I think one of you did. Everybody wants to, but nobody ever does. So make paper and pen your best friend, and capture every idea you can, and then categorize it so that when you go to teach it, again, if you want to teach something, you can pull out that binder and teach it. You understand? Does that help y'all at all? It really is going to be a huge help if you're going to be a big company. Now, the other thing is universal law is not localized. Until I realized this, I saw things happening, and I thought that was like, it shouldn't go that way, but it's not. All universal laws are not, they're not localized. They're either universal or they're not universal, in my opinion. If you jump off an airplane, which way are you going to go? Is that universal? Oh, it's universal. Oh, it's universal. The sun's going to go out tonight. What's it going to do tomorrow? It's going to come up. It's universal. If you have spring, what follows spring? It ain't going to change. It's everywhere. It's not just here. It's everywhere. Okay. All laws are universal. There's universal laws about money. I'm telling you, there's universal laws on money. It's not just in what town are we in. It's not just in Hickory. The same laws apply in Hickory apply in China. There's no different laws in China on money than here. So all laws are universal. They're never localized. If you see something working local, it doesn't mean it's going to work universally. You understand? The way you treat your wife here and have a nice marriage is the same way you would treat a wife in China and have a nice life. It doesn't change. It's the same universal law. I'm going to just tell you. Some of you guys think you're in China. You can't treat them a little like, you know, the guy that has a nice marriage in China is doing the same thing you should be doing here, being nice, right? So I want you to know these universal laws are something. Here's the first universal law that I discovered. That the mind is just like old underwear. That's my first universal law. Here it is. So you can draw a face, and then the mind. So you remember this, and then draw a pair of underwear. And you draw your own underwear, these are mine. That's mine. Now, the reason I say the mind is like old underwear is because once underwear is stretched, it can't go back. How many of you ever had a pair of underwear that's been stretched? I mean, have them on right now. And they don't go back. You can't get it back. Once the mind is stretched, you can't ever get it back. How many of you would like to deal without air conditioning in your house right now? Or in your car? See, once you've been stretched, you don't want to go back. Once you stretch your associate, they don't want to go back. Once you get them to understand money, how money's earned, they will never go back. They can't go back. The mind refuses to be incomplete under any conditions. Now, this is a little technical, but I'll show you this. It's a law. The mind will not be incomplete under any conditions. You will complete whatever you're thinking, good, bad, or otherwise. And you cannot stop that. Don, I can make you physically do something and never get touched close to you. Do you believe that? I can make you physically move your body and never come close to you. Do you believe that?
You're saying it must be.
I found a believer. But do you really believe it?
No, it's okay.
You really don't do. But I'm going to prove it to you, okay? I'm getting ready to show you instead of teaching. I will make you physically move your body and never get close to you. Matter of fact, I'll back that. I'll say. Now, I will make you physically do something. You can't stop it. Matter of fact, I'll bet you $1,000. If you've got $1,000, I'll put $1,000 on the table, and I'll bet you $1,000. Is that too high?
Yeah.
Is 100 too high? Is 20 too high?
It's right now about 57, you're right.
All right. I'm so sure of myself, though, I'd bet me Escalade on. Does that sound pretty sure to you?
50 cents to your escalator.
Because I've never been wrong about it. As a matter of fact, I'll make the whole audience do something physical, and they won't be able to stop. You believe that? I'll make everyone do the same thing you're doing at the same time you're doing it. And they can't stop it. Because the mind refuses to be what? It won't be incomplete. It's going to complete itself one way or the other. So once you get somebody to think something, they're going to complete whatever you got them to think. How do you think Koresh got all those people to burn themselves up? How do you think he got Jonestown, got people to leave their house, sell all their goods, go over and kill themselves and their kids? I mean, how would a person do that? They understood a universal law. Now, it can be used for good or bad. Universal law. Do you understand it? Is fire cold or hot? Universal law. But the mind refuses to be incomplete. Don, watch this. You ready to physically move? I'm not going to hurt you. Okay? Here's what I don't want you to do, okay, under any conditions. I do not want you to feel your toes in your shoes. You can't feel your toes in your shoes, okay? And you just did it. How many of the rest of you did it? Yeah, good one. See, when you tell your children, don't run, you just told them to run. When you tell them, don't drink, don't smoke, don't take drugs, in all of our infant wisdom, we tell them to go do that. Because the mind won't be incomplete. It only goes for the last picture to stop. If you say, stop running, you said, stop, they stop. Then how many of you have seen them take off again? If you're a teacher, you've seen it. You tell them to stop running in the hall, don't they stop and start running again? Because you said, stop running. And they start running again. Instead of saying something like, in this school, we walked. The picture you want in the head is the picture you want to happen because the mind refuses to be what? It won't be incomplete. It will not be incomplete. So when you stretch somebody's mind about a concept or principle or universal law, it's going to complete it either mentally or physically. And depending on how you put it in, depends on how fast they're going to make a move. Now, I very rarely ever teach this. I'm just telling you, it's so rare, I probably only taught this maybe 4 or 5 times. But if you're going to have, you can get anybody to do almost anything you want to understand universal law. It's just a fact. But you just have to understand that the mind is just like old underwear. Once it's stretched, it can never go back to where it was. That's when they can, I call it do like wash your brain. You can wash your brain. If you know how to wash your brain. You can get rid of all that old crap. All that stuff that's been bothering you, the divorces, whatever's happened in your life, you just wash it right out. If you understand that the mind is being complete. The things that bother you can go like that instantaneously. Because you're going to go to the last picture. You just have to put the picture in. So understanding this is, to me, critical. If we're going to change somebody from, like my daughter, her perception was she was going to have to put the kid in a nursery and go to work and all that, like everybody else. I said, Charlotte, that's not the kind of life you have to live. Here's the life you can live. And I stretched her brain, and I did it with emotion. In your case, if you want to build a pay legal business, Don, I'd say, Don, if you really want to build this, this is not up for debate, okay? We're going to build a pay legal business. There's nothing that you and I can't build here. We'll help. I'm going to help you set up 50 to 500 agents around the country, and here's what's going to happen. We're going to bring some single parents in, and those single parents are going to go move off. Talk to all the other single parents, and when they do, money to hit your checking account. You got that picture in your head? We'll bring on insurance agents, and they'll go into hospitals and sign everybody in the hospital. You won't even know about it. And when they do that, they're going to get paid, and money's going to come into your house. I'm going to stretch your brain so far that I have a buy-in. Do you understand? And once I get the buy-in, then you start working towards whatever we're going to do. But until I get that buy-in, you will not work towards that picture. That's the reason that everything I do, I draw pictures. If you can't see a picture of it, then you're not going to work for it. How many of you have ever seen anybody build a house without a blueprint? Would that be a stupid looking house or what? It would be a stupid looking house. You cannot. When I came here, if I had to have OnStar, I'd have had to have a map. I got to see how to get here. You've got to have a picture. That's when I say, draw a picture with everything that you do. If you have a concept printer, try to put a picture to it, because when you teach it, they'll understand it better. Does that make sense? So you're going to stretch people's minds to let them know what to expect here. And when you do that, they can't go back and think the way they used to. And the thing is, too, here's the only thing that separates some of us. I ran around with a guy, and I did this last night for people. I happened to run around with a guy, and I knew about him for about 10, 12, 13 years, heard about him forever. He made $40 million a month. $40 million a month. He had a company, he was in 10 countries, and he was from the hills of Kentucky, and he'd never finished high school. And so it took me about 10 years to find the guy. I finally found him. He lives in Lexington, Kentucky. His name is Bill Bailey. And some of you may have heard him. You might know of him, but you don't know of him. Jim Rohn was trained by this guy. How do you know Jim Rohn? That's who trained Jim Rohn. That's who trained Les Brown. That's who trained Mark Victor Hansen, those guys. Bill Bailey, a guy from Kentucky. And all those guys never would tell you who they are. He is. Because he's such a private guy. I finally went in business with a guy. I mean, here I am, a little guy with nothing, in business with a guy doing $40 million a month. And I got a chance to take a road trip with a guy. And so I'm on the road trip, and we talked about this whole life, how he got where he was at. And finally I asked him, how do you do this? How do you, what's the secret here? What is this big secret you got that takes you from here to $40 million? Y'all know $40 million a month is a lot of money. I mean, this guy has jets and yachts and farms, and his buddy bought a farm, he bought a farm, he put a runway right down the middle of the thing so they could have fun together. He'd buy a yacht, he'd buy a bigger yacht. He'd buy another yacht, they'd buy a bigger yacht. They'd buy a plane, he'd buy a bigger plane. I mean, $40 million a month, you can do almost anything you want to do. But I wanted to know the secret to all that, because he didn't seem to be any smart man. He seemed a lot like you. I mean, you know, and so he said, Frank, listen to me real carefully now. He said, I've been around almost 65 years at a time. Can I get some ice? Is there any way to get some ice? He said, I've been around 60-something years, and here's what will never happen to you because it's never happened to me. He said, never will there be a big cloud come up over your head, and God stick his face out and go, hey, Scott, here's the answer to all life. Here's the success thing. He said, it's not going to happen to you. It won't happen. I promise you. It's never happened to me. He said, well, here's what the story is. And y'all can draw this. He said, your success is going to be based on what you see, what you hear, what you read, and what you go experience. He said, and your whole success is going to be based on this. He said, the faster you can see it, the faster you can hear it, the faster you can read it, the faster you can experience it, the faster you're going to get successful. How many of you know that I started going to seeing everything? Listen, I listen to everybody, anybody. How many of you know I read a lot of stuff? Let me just clean it up for you. I don't just read a lot of stuff. And I didn't learn how to read until I was 33 years old. I could not read a word until I was 33 years old. I had never read a word until I got married. Never. I couldn't read a stop sign. I have an eye problem. It's an eye motor problem, and I see things kind of like backwards and stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I have like optical rectitis. It's like when your nerves get too close and now you're behind and you get a crappy outlook on It's called optical rectitis. I mean, you got a friend like that, they got a crappy outlook on life. But now, I mean, I've written 6 books, and I can read almost anything. I have to read real slow because I still have to flip it around my head. If you ask me to read something out loud, I might have a tough time with it because it's got a process for it. Do you understand? And they thought I was retarded when I was in school. That's the reason I left in the 6th grade. I mean, you know, I went to work. I went to work in a cook factory, you know, right in the 6th grade, and I've been working ever since. But within 2 months, I was making a lot more money than the teacher. I was trying to figure out who was retarded here. So don't think because somebody can't read or something, they're not smart. I mean, I'm not smart, you understand? But if you observe, you can do it real well. So the faster you can see things, the faster you can hear things, the faster you can read things, and experience things, the faster you're going to be successful. And here's what I'm telling you. Come to every briefing you can, because you're going to see something that's going to change your life. Go to every national convention you can. Go to every regional you can. Listen to everybody you can. Read everything you can on your subject as fast as you can, or get a tape or something. Now, some people in here, there's probably people in this room that can't read. I'm telling you, there's probably 2 or 3 in this room that can't read. It's okay. I just want y'all to know, if you're out there, it's okay. You're probably brighter than hell, and no one knows. I was running multi-million-dollar companies that never read a word. Literally, I was the boss. $40 million company I was running. Could never even fill out an application. When I took my driver's test, if it hadn't been multiple choice, we wouldn't have got a driver's license. Because I just guessed at that sucker. My mother wrote down my name and address and phone number and all that stuff so that I could copy it onto the little thing up there that says your name and stuff. That's the only way I passed that test. Now, when I got married, my wife had me read within 2 weeks. She was a special ed teacher. Did I do good? No, she did it with a number 2 pencil and a newspaper. A number 2 pencil and a newspaper changed my life. She knew how to cure the motor eye problem. Eye muscle problem. And she cured it with a number 2 pencil and a newspaper. And now I've been, like I came to the house, now I actually been to the White House to meet the president, y'all. Is that good? That's a hell of a story. No, I'll tell you that one day. Yeah, I'd love to tell you that one. This is because it says, no, we don't have time. Really. Well, I'll do it. I'll do it. Take 3 minutes. And I'm not trying to brag you. I just want you to know that you got a shot at this thing. Can you imagine me being in the White House? Well, anyway, what happened was that I owned this company called Quick. And we were doing millions of dollars. And all the store owners got together. I was selling franchise. They all got together and said, we want to have a meeting. I said, oh, great. So they got together and they said, Mr. Coyne, we really like you, but you're not a good CEO. You need to go do something else. I said, what? They said, you can't run a computer. If you write up an order, no one can read it. You're not good at anything. We know you own the company, but you can go out and sell franchises and everybody be happy. Why don't you go do something else, like become business man of the year someplace? I said, okay. So I turned it over to a management team and the store just took off. I resigned the fact that I'm not good at everything. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not. If I did a cash register, I took it screwed up and, my eyes still gave me a little problem. So I got out there and I became like businessman of the year for the city of Charleston, which was a pretty big deal. And then I became businessman of the year for like the whole state of South Carolina, which was even, a couple 100,000 businesses in South Carolina, and to be voted like the #1 guy is a big deal, And then the top 50 in the whole country, And now, I wasn't fixing this. The local chamber did it, the state chamber did it, and the U.S. chamber did it. And these are people I didn't know anywhere. So anyway, they invited me to the White House to meet, that guy that in Monica's boyfriend. So I'm supposed to be in the White and the vice president. And so I go there and I'm all checked out. I got my son and my wife, and I'm kind of, neat. I never did like you, but I was going to meet him. And so he was late for the meeting. And Strom Thurmond was there. Y'all know who Strom Thurmond is?
Yeah.
He was from my state. So I asked the guy, I said, can I call Strom Thurmond? He said, yeah. So I called Strom and I said, listen, I'm meeting the president. He's late. You mind if I come over? He said, come on. So we went to see Strom Thurmond, and the new governor was there, and that's the governor of our state now. And they said, why don't we go to lunch? I said, all right. So we were at lunch. I mean, lunch with Strom Thurmond. It's cool. And the Secret Service called and said, Mr. Cohen, the president is waiting for you. I said, well, I'm eating lunch with Strom Thurmond. He said, the president of the United States is waiting for you. I said, well, how long is he going to be there? True story. And they said, well, it doesn't matter. Him and the vice president and the first lady, you know, is here. I said, well, let me finish lunch. And they said, you got to come over here. And I knew, I promise you, I knew by the time I got here, he'd be gone. I thought, well, I got to leverage this sucker. So I did what you've done. I said, listen, I can't leave Strom Thurmond. So tell Bill, next time I'm in town, I'll try to see him. And this story is worth more than seeing him, y'all. And so I didn't see him. I just went to but I'd rather tell that story than I met the president. The story meant more to me than that, and my wife couldn't believe it. I mean, but anyway, I'm just saying that where you're at is temporary. All positions in life are temporary. Let me repeat that. All positions in life are temporary. Now that is hope for the poor and a warning to the rich, okay? If you think what you've got now is permanent, forget it. You think you own your house? Think again. Don't pay the taxes. You'll see who owns your house. You can't own nothing. Listen, I'm temporary to my wife. I won't be here one day. I won't be here. I know that. All positions in life are temporary. Here's the deal. Try to appreciate what you got. You got to just appreciate where you're at. Don't get too serious. Some of y'all are too serious. There's a couple people here haven't smiled since you got in here. It'll just constipate you. You're going to get serious headaches if you keep acting like that. Life is so short, you can lose it real quick. I am just telling you. Am I right? You probably lost a family member or two by now, haven't you? Life is short, y'all. Don't get too serious about this stuff. You don't own nothing anyway. It ain't yours. I mean, so I don't get too serious about it much. I used to, but I'm just no more. And your position is temporary. I'm going to tell you what, I've been out of work. Listen, yeah. I had a guy fire me from, I worked in a gas station, and a guy fired me. Because I couldn't drive. I hadn't driven because I could get a license. So I finally just went out and fixed it. But I put oil in the transmission deal. He said, Frank, you're not very good at this. And so they fired me, and it was temporary. You understand? All business in life is temporary. So I don't care where you're at, it's just temporary. You're just there for a short period of time, so you get over it, okay? So I want you to know, I call this success compression. You can write down success compression on this chart. And the reason I call it success compression is that you can take 30 years or 40 years to do this, or you can get it done in about 10 or 20 months. You can just read more, see more, hear more, and go experience more, right? Because life is, it doesn't matter how long you live, it's experiences through life. Life is only a bunch of experiences that you live. You got that? Okay. I'm going to rush on through some of this stuff now. The only reason that rich people are rich is because they're disciplined. To become wealthy, you must be disciplined. You can just write that down. And here's what they're disciplined with, just some of the stuff. They're disciplined with their time. They're disciplined with their relationships. They're disciplined with their money. And let me just assure you, if you're not disciplined in a bunch of areas, here's what I can promise you. And it's not up for debate. We're not asking your permission here, and it's going to be a history lesson. If you're not disciplined with your money, you're going to be broke. That's not up for debate, is it? If you spend everything you get, and you're not disciplined with it, you're going to be broke. If you're not disciplined with your relationships with your wife and your children, you're going to have a broken marriage and a broken relationship with your children. And every one of us know that. It's a universal law. That all people who are successful are disciplined in certain areas. Now, it doesn't mean they're disciplined in all areas. I know a lot of successful people who got terrible marriages. I mean, you know some folks like that. I know people who live in giant houses and are unhappy. So what you try to do is get a little balance in there about being disciplined in what areas you're disciplined in. You know, I was talking to our host just last night. Him and his wife are becoming very disciplined in finances. I can tell you that right now. And they seem to be very disciplined in their relationship. I mean, the respect they show for each other is uncanny. It's just, and I want to congratulate you for that. You you got to kind of have a resolve about your life. Here's what I resolved early in life. If I could ever find a woman that would marry me, and that was going to be a real push, because who would marry a guy who couldn't read? Especially a woman with 3 master's degrees. The hardest thing I ever did to tell my wife I couldn't read. One of the hardest things. I mean, how do you want to marry a woman and she's getting 3 master's degrees and you can't even read a menu? That's not true. And I knew I had to do it, but I didn't know how. I'll be honest with you. And so I just did it. I just faced it up. I remember the traffic. I said, you got to face it. You got to go. Just lay it out. So I laid it out. Here's what she said to me when I told her. She says, I knew that birthday with me. She said, I don't love you because you read or not beautiful. I said, that's a good thing. But I resolved if I ever found a woman that I could marry, that she could have a lot of husbands, but I would be the best that she would ever get. Now, I tried to do the best. I don't know if she would look up there like she wants to. I also resolved that I would never, ever say a curse word to her. Never curse her under any condition. I would never, ever say the hell with you, you stupid bitch, or anything like that. I would never throw a curse word in her direction under any condition. You could not name a condition that would come out of my mouth. That was my resolve. Now, a lot of people do that, and it's okay if you do that. Like up in New York, you call somebody a son of a bitch, it's a compliment. You said you know, they take that as a compliment. I don't do. I just think that it's the lowest form, it's the highest form of low self-esteem to put someone else down. That's just my opinion. So I resolved not to do it. I was disciplined in that too. Matter of fact, before we even got married, I made a promise to her. I made about 8 promises to my wife before we got married. And I wanted to clear it up before we got married. And I really wanted to marry this woman because she could read. And Lord, she could play the piano. And if they could read and play the piano, you got married. But I told her, I said, Theresa, there's several things I need to talk to you about before we get married. Because if you can't settle in, we shouldn't even get married. We shouldn't do it. Because I was going to be very disciplined in those things. And now I told her, I said, listen, I won't promise you that I promise you, but I promise you I'll never ever say a curse word. I may curse around you, but I'll never say anything to you. Promise. Is that okay? She said, that's fine. I said, Theresa, you've got to promise me. All your heart will never say a curse word. Never. Because the minute I hear one come out of your mouth, I know you start losing respect. Because I've watched it in my own family for years. So if you ever want to cuss me, go outside and cuss a tree. Because if you ever start it, I won't be around. Because I'm not going to be around where I'm not respected. So you can't not do that. And I promise you I won't go with you. So I was very disciplined in that. Does that make sense to you, the way your family is? I mean, you do what you do in your family, and you do that, I'm not putting more value. I also resolved how I was going to handle my children. And I resolved how I was going to handle my family. I was going to be disciplined in handling the family, handling my finances, handling my community. But people never slow up to hurry up. But just a few little resolves can change your whole life. I promise you. And I had these conversations with my daughter before she got married. Before my daughter got married, and long before she even thought about it in her teenage years, I told her the resolve story about what her mom and I had resolved before we got married. Because I wanted her to marry somebody that respected her, that would honor her and make her feel good about who she is, no matter what she looked like. Because none of you can look this good a few years ago. I mean, I used to look good. Not much. But rich folks are disciplined. They're resolved. And until you're resolved about your money, your friends, your relationship, like my other thing with you, if we're a friend, you won't need another friend. You might have some more, but you won't have one like me. Do you understand? That means you don't have to watch your back with me. Your back's okay. I got your back covered. You got me. But if you don't feel that way about people, you're going to have a real lonesome life, in my opinion. See, Theresa said that building this relationships is everything here. It is everything in business. It's everything in community. It's everything in the family. It's everything in stupidity. Because you've got to be able to count on each other. This has nothing to do with what you thought you could hear today. I know that. But it has everything to do with your life. It has everything to do with you feeling comfortable about And I was talking to someone last night, they said they had a fear of making money. Some people have a fear of that. But you never have to worry about money if all you're concerned about is people. Money will follow if you're concerned about people. You can have none or a lot. It doesn't matter. You're still happy. Here's what's going to happen. If you guys get rich, you can be more of what you are. It's going to make you more who you are. If you're drunk, you can really drink if you can. No, if you get a lot of money, you can drink. If you like to drink, you can really drink to get money. So don't worry about it. It's going to make you more something that you're not. It's going to just emphasize who you are. I always wondered what I'd be like when I got a lot of money. You know what I mean? And now I'm going to tell you, when I look in the mirror in the morning, I go like this. All right. I feel good about who I am. If you're a booger, you can be a snot when you got money. If you're generous, you'll be generous when you get money. Don't worry about what it's going to do to you. You're just going to become more what you are. If you don't like what you are now, you don't like what you are when you get money either. It'll just emphasize it a little. You can be really rude. No, you can be rude. But if you're nice, you can be nice anyway. You get money, you probably be nicer. You're not worried about everything. They say money doesn't answer all things. That's a broke person talking. It says in the Bible, word for word, money answers all things. I didn't write that. It's in the Bible. Now, some of you may not understand the Bible. I don't, I'm not a big thing there, but it's in there. Money does make life easier. Would you rather be unhappy and broke or unhappy and wealthy? Duh. I mean, if you're going to be unhappy, I'm going to be wealthy and unhappy. You know? So the universal goes like this, that all rich people are disciplined in certain areas. They're not disciplined in all areas. I'm still working on a few, right? Like my health. Believe me, an athlete is disciplined in his health. He gets a lot of sleep, he eats the right stuff. You know, I eat pizza and Diet Coke and all that crap. You know, I'm not so disciplined there. But, you know, we're working on some stuff. So I'm just letting you know that, okay? Did you hear about the fortune teller? And the guy came to see the fortune teller and looking at his hand, she said, got good news and bad news? Which one do you want first? He said, okay, give him bad news. She said, you'll be broke until your middle 50s. He said, okay, what's the good news? She said, you'll get used to it. Now, the reason I say that is to bring up this point that opposition is temporary. See, you cannot, it's hard to build a future dragging around nightmares. See, how do you build a good future if you're dragging the nightmares along with you? Some of you are thinking about so much about what happened in the past that screwed up your life that you just can't move forward because you're just still pulled by the past. So I made this resolution. I wasn't going to build a Hall of Fame to failure. I don't build Hall of Fame to failure. I don't go back and revisit them either. Have I had some failures like this? Oh Lord, my whole life has been one big failure. From the time I can remember, I have failed at everything, but I don't build any museums to them, and I don't go back and revisit them either. And I also don't build a museum to success. Follow me on this. I don't go back and just visit my successes all day long either. When I hear people talking, they're always talking about, man, I used to do this, and I used to do that, and I used to do this, and I used to tell me all this crap. They got one foot in yesterday. And some people say, I'm always going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And here's my picture in my head. Some people have one foot in yesterday, or one in tomorrow, and they're just crapping all over the day. You can draw a picture of that. Man, stand like this. I didn't want to draw it up here, but you can certainly draw that. Don't go back and build Hall of Fame to failure. I mean, you know, you can't change that stuff. You got to just watch it out. Just get rid of it. I wish we had 5 hours just to teach that stuff. Just how to do the brainwashing and how to get your mind all cleaned up. And once you learn it, I mean, you can help anybody like that. So, just want you to know that all positions are temporary. And don't worry about it too much. I like coming here because it's fun. It's kind of like, remember school when you went to recess? How do y'all like recess? Y'all remember that? Go out, play a little tag. They do that? They do that in school? They can? Do they? You know, take something and throw it somewhere. It's like time out. It's like recess. It's halftime. Write down halftime. Write down over halftime. important lesson comes here. It's called halftime. I mean, I love sports. All people go to mind called sports. Football. Is there a halftime in football?
Yeah.
There it is. I want today to kind of be a halftime for you. Some of you have been doing very well. I know some of you are very successful. Some of you probably would $1 million. Probably make you look like a financial midget, and that's okay. I may catch you. Some of the rest of you have been beat up a little. You're struggling. You know what I mean? You've been getting your butt beat through life. How many of you have ever got beat up a little? Okay. You've been out there playing a game of life and you got your butt beat, right? Halftime, okay? Because halftime comes and what happens is you go into the locker room and the coach says to you, Lewis, you're doing pretty good. You know, you can read, you can write, you can do all that stuff. But if you'll just tweak this one thing, it's not much now, Lewis, because you look good, you smell good, you understand? You're a nice guy. But if you'll just tweak this one thing, just promise you this one thing, we'll go back in and win the game. And see, in sports that happens a lot of times. They'll go into the locker room, the team's getting their butt beat, they'll come out of the locker room and the coach did a little coaching, he did a little mentoring, they come back out and they win the game. So maybe today is halftime for you. How many of y'all could use a halftime? See, the next part of your life is clear. See, God was genius. There's a bright, bright future in front of you. We have a board. I'll go here. What do y'all see? What else do you see?
Opportunity.
See, halftime is important to understand that I don't care what happened here, there's no Hall of Fame here for failure or success. It's this bright future out here, and there's no black dots on it yet. Here's your life. Hundreds over here, okay? Right in here, you got this thing going on in your life right now. You could focus on this for the rest of your life. And if you focus on that for the rest of your life, you will not see all this bright future here. You got to get your mind off this. You understand? Does that make sense? Halftime is when you say, okay, you might have had a bunch of black dots. Like if this is Clinton's life, there'd be black dots. Only you can do that. Oh, come that. See, halftime is really important for people, in my opinion. And I do halftimes a lot. I mean, daily, I do halftime. I mean, I take naps. How do y'all like naps? Lord, I take naps. Well, I mean naps, like 3 or 4 hour naps. And I'll reflect. See, I'll reflect. You know, how did I do with my kids this morning? How did I do with my wife? How am I doing my business and stuff like that? And then I go to sleep and I straighten all that crap out. I do a halftime. So Jane, today may be halftime for you. We straighten out a few things today about how to earn money, how big and everything, how you create wealth, help people. This could have been your halftime, right? No. Well, I've been only talking to 2 or 3 of you here, by the way. Only 2 or 3 of y'all are going to get this stuff. I don't know which one it is. I always know only 2 or 3 of you get it. And the whole audience, 2 or 3 get it. And the 2 or 3 just become outstanding. Some of you become multi-millionaires and write books and help people get out all of it. And I've always wondered why. Did everybody know how a teacher like this young lady, 2 professors in the house, how they stand in front of a room and teach the same thing to all students, and one takes off like a scarlet dog and the other doesn't. And they're teaching the same thing. They didn't change the teaching. They taught the same thing. And one takes off. So we'll see which one of you do it. That really go out and change things. Halftime. Okay, let's talk about money. There seems to be 2 roads to money. Matter of fact, there's one road like this, but people take different avenues. And in every city you see this. Every city. You're traveling on this road, and you come to a fork in the road, and you can decide to do what poor people do, or you can do what middle class people do, or you can do what wealthy people do. The choice is always yours in this country. In other countries, that's not true. In this country, this is true. But you can decide to do what poor people do, or you can decide what the middle class do, or you can decide what the wealthy do. It's up to you. Because almost all of us start out on the same road. Most people don't start out wealthy. They start out broke like me. But when they get to this fork, they go, who am I going to follow? Who am I going to listen to? Does that make sense? Y'all got that picture? Okay. Everybody that I know of goes through this. First job, do that. First pay. And I'm going to abbreviate everything from here. How many of you remember your first job? See? What was your first job now? Really? That was your very first. You didn't sell newspapers, you didn't sell candy on the street, or none of that? What was yours? Huh? Baling cotton? Really? Where at? Catawba? Where's that? You really baled cotton as your first job? Where they paid you?
No, I picked cotton. I didn't bell it.
Okay, but they paid you to do it. That was your first job. What did you? Babysit, okay. Now I was the bottle inspector. Cook factory. I learned bottle. They want me to make sure there's no roaches in the bottle. Some of you got roaches in. First job, first pay, then better job, and what? Better pay, right? And then this, I can assure you, is going to happen, okay? If you're out there working for somebody, this is going to happen. How many of you right now are retired somehow? You got some kind of retirement? How many were you don't look old enough to retire. Where'd you retire from? Teaching. Okay. And yourself? Both of you taught? You taught college? How did I do in college? You know I teach college now? I get a chance to teach in college? I do. They'll have me in and say, here's the idiot, you ain't good. Really, I mean, I have a chance to teach in colleges. It's just unbelievable. I don't even have a high school diploma or anything, not even a grammar school. And I get to go into colleges and teach business and stuff. I go, dang, no friends can see now. But if you have first job, first pay, better pay, you all those have a final job and what? Final what? Now, when y'all retired from teaching, did your income go like this, or did it kind of drop a little? That happens to everybody. See, that is going to happen. So, it's kind of a universal law. And get over it. It's kind of like if you were coming down the road in a car, and I came up to you, and I'm all tattered and torn up, and I'm bleeding, and I say to you, and you're driving this nice car, I say to you, James, do me a favor. Don't go down the road. I did it. There's a bridge out. Please don't go down there because you're going to take your family here, you're going to run over the road, and they're going to get hurt. And you say, shut up, Frank, I'm going. And you just go ahead and go. Is that smart? Okay. This is going to happen if you're working. So you can tell me all day long it's not going to happen, but you're going to get bloody. And inflation is going to hit your paycheck. And you can get hurt here if you do this, okay? Here's the thing that I believe. If you can start a business, you can have your first business and your first pay. And then you're going to have better business and better pay. And then you're going to have future business and future pay. And then when you do this, first business, first pay, better business, better pay, future business, future pay, and it goes pay, 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 go play, play, play. Because when you get money coming in for extra black and it's increasing, you're better off. Does that make sense? And every one of us who own businesses know that. I want you to know that. Everyone that have a business know that. But the problem that most people run into is this. Are y'all familiar with the term black hole in space? Everybody out here is like a consumption black hole. They consume so much and all their stuff, they buy everything. I went into a house not too long ago, and I swear to you, the lady was struggling financially. She must have had, and I'm not stretching this, 15,000, 25,000 knickknacks, little statues and stuff. Walls, shelves, TV top, countertop on a table. They probably cost $5 or $10 a piece, maybe more. 15,000 of them everywhere, up the stair railings and over doors and crap. Consumption black hole, just everything, just consuming black hole here. So every bit of money she got, she was doing something with it. We all do something with our money, okay? So I want to go through this and tell you the difference here. That the one single difference between the rich and the poor is this. The rich understand what an asset and a liability is. How many of you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? So we'll get that out of the way. Okay. Yeah? Okay. David, have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? No. You have not? Good. So can I just ask you a question or two? You're a teacher, right? Do you know the difference between an asset and a liability? Okay, let's take that one step further, okay? Do you own a house? Yes. Is that an asset? No. It's not an asset? No. Okay. Is your car an asset? No. Okay. How about, Professor, is a house an asset?
It's paid for. You can go up and buy it.
Huh?
You can go up and buy it, you can sell it.
The house y'all living in right now, is it an asset? If you wasn't in there.
Hot water, running water.
Never, if your asset wasn't in there, you might be running. The real difference between the rich and the poor is the difference between assets and liabilities, and no one understands it until they get a little education on it. See, everybody will tell you that your house is an asset, your car is an asset, and your boat is an asset, and your ring is an asset. But really and truly, to the rich, that's not true to us. See, the definition of an asset to a rich person, and I'll just clean it up for you. It's real simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Another way to write that down is an asset will feed you and a liability will eat you. So you got to get that cleaned up first. Now your house is an asset, but who's an asset to? Whose asset is it? The bank. Now the reason they call it an asset, the government calls it an asset. Here's the reason the government calls it an asset. Anything is an asset they can tax you on. So in all terms to the government, your house is an asset because now they can charge you taxes on it. Your car is an asset, so they charge you taxes on it, property taxes. Everything, your motorcycle, your golf club. When you die, they add up all your stuff and they call it assets. But an asset to a rich person is only something that puts money in your pocket. Anything that takes money out of your pocket is a liability. So, like in your case, do you have a boyfriend? No? Would you like one? Two guys up here. How much money do you have, Scott? Good what I said. Damn. And I know what I'm talking about. Here, people who don't understand assets and liability, here's what happens. Now, your house could be an asset if you're renting it out. If you turn to an asset. But even if it's totally paid for, are you still paying money? Isn't it still cost you electric money, tax money, repairs? It's always a liability unless it's making you money. Except to the bank and to the government, okay? And by the way, your land is only, it's a derivative. I don't know if y'all know that. Y'all know what a derivative is? derivatives started way back in the 1800s, 16th century when the kings and queens owned everything in Europe, and it got so big they could no longer have enough army to protect it. In other words, you have to have an army to protect the land, and they just ran out of money, so they said this: we'll give Scott his land, and now Scott will protect his land. If somebody comes on his property, he'll protect it. We won't have to send the army. But for him to live on there, we're going to charge him taxes. They never gave the land up. They just did a derivative. And when he dies, we get it back. So if you don't pay taxes, we're going to get it back and give it to somebody else. Let somebody else buy it, so they'll pay the taxes. So land and everything you own is just a derivative or something. You understand? The queen never gives up her land. The king never gives up their land. Believe me when I tell you that. That's a whole other lesson in economics. Here's the deal. Pretty simple. Poor, middle class, wealthy. All of them go out and do something, and they usually get money when we'll call it cash. Now, if you just track what they do with the money, you can tell whether they're going to be poor, middle class, or wealthy. So if this is you, and you're making money, it don't matter how much money you make, you can either become wealthy, middle class, or poor. Now, I can tell you that because I've been all three of these things. And it depended on what I was doing with my money. Here's what poor people do with their money. And see if you don't recognize this, because I did this for years. Poor person goes from cash to trash. They buy CDs, they buy videos, they buy rings and watches, and all their money goes in the trash. And all of it, matter of fact, let me ask y'all something. Do y'all remember what you got everybody last year for Christmas? Do you remember what you got last year for Christmas? How about the Christmas before that? Did it all end up in the trash? Isn't it a shame we can't remember what we got people for Christmas last year? And you can buy some more trash this year? Do you remember what you got me last year? We buy all this trash. My whole life is full of trash. Goes from cash to trash, and they end up with what? Zero. You go cash to trash, you're going to end up with zero, and you're going to be on Social Security. I showed my kids this when they were real young. And I said, listen, I'm going to teach you how to live in a house like we live in. You know, we have that pool. We go to Europe. We got a housekeeper. We got people to take care of our lawns. We got all these cars. I want to teach you how to do that. For the same amount of money everybody else makes, you can do this. Or you can be this. You can be poor and go from cash to trash. Middle class people go from cash to liabilities. They go out and they sign notes for 5 and 10 years of their life to pay everybody else. We sign a 30-year note on a house, and that means we're going to have to work for 30 years to pay something. Now, I'm okay with that. There's good debt and bad debt, but there's a way to do it, believe me. They got credit cards. The average person that gets divorced in this country has between a $45,000 and $65,000 balance on their credit card. That's the average divorce person. How many of you getting close? I mean, it can happen. 70% of people in jail are there because of money. 70% of people get divorced are there get divorced because of money. They go all these liabilities and it causes stress, and they go from cash to liabilities to zero, end up on Social Security. Back. The only difference between the three people is this. Rich people go from cash to assets back to cash. Cash, 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 cash. They take all their money that they make, they pay their bills as they can, then they start setting up assets that throw off cash, another asset that throws off cash, another asset that throws off cash. You follow me? They never take their money, go cash, trash, cash, liability. My wife and I just bought our first few cars when I bought the Escalade and that Jaguar. And we've been married 31 years. And we could afford any kind of car we wanted years ago. We never did that. And we didn't even pay full price this time. We didn't go to another level. Paul Myers is worth $1 billion. He owns 39 companies in 40 countries. good friend of mine. Paul never buys a new car. He always buys about a 5-year, 6-year-old car. You were there. He buys Escalades. I think I got Suburban, the other car, Suburban. He buys a 5 or 6-year-old Suburban. He buys it for $10,000 or $12,000, puts a new paint job on it, puts a new carpet in it, and he's got them all over the place. He says, Frank, I'll take the other $30,000 and I'll put them in assets. He says, you have to get one place or the other, but you don't have to do it that way. This man is worth a big. Now, he just sold one of his houses for $42 million. I was at that house last year. It was in the Caymans. It's right dead on the beach. He owned the beach. Bought it for $4 million, sold it for $42 million. Good deal. Bargain. See, people go out and shop for sales. Rich people go out for sales too, but they buy a $40 million property for $4 million. We look for sales, but we don't look to spend. We look to invest. Totally different from how you treat your money. I'm going to go look for a sale so I can spend my money. Rich people do this. I'm going to go look for a bargain that I can invest in so it turns out more cash. You can't go from cash to credit. Make it cash and liability to pay everybody else. You got to go cash, asset back to cash, 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 cash. What's it, huh?
But I still get so scared.
Well, you can still get Social Security because if you know how to do it right. You can't get Social Security if you don't do it right and make a lot of money. You can make all the money you want to. You can make millions and still get Social Security. But if you don't know how to, you can't do that. See, if you got passive or portfolio income, they'll let you draw. See, you're taxed totally different on passive portfolio income than you are on earned income. That's just another little similar. Right now, if I want to draw, and I can draw Social Security right now, it's $1,200 a month. No, $1,600. $1,600 a month. My light bill at my house is over $500.